Okay, so I missed a recording yesterday, but I don't think everybody needs to hear from me every single day. This is Barbara, San Diego, California, and it is the 31st of March, which is day 11 of shelter in place here in California. And I had a big lesson today. So I'm a teacher, professor, whatever you want to call me. I teach in the community college system, I teach in the university system here in San Diego. And I'm adjunct. Well, I just got a job at Big Bend Community College up north, so I'll be leaving for Washington for that. But we've moved online. All of the schools that I have the opportunity to teach in, we've moved online. And what I've been seeing a lot of, fur from the dog, that teachers are concerned about their students, as they should be. Is this how hard this is on them, and sort of the traumatizing effect of, oh, their world's changing. All of our world's changing in a week or two, and how the future seems so uncertain, et cetera, et cetera. All things we should be worried about and talking about with our students. But alongside that, then I also see comments like that their teachers are not going to be grading stringently, just passing out A's, dropping assignments entirely. Some teachers are not trying synchronous teaching at all, some for very good reasons, but some just basically like, why am I forcing my students to do this useless task during this terrible time? I'm taking much more complicated sentences and making them shorter and digestible, but in essence. And I don't think that's good. I have a schedule. I have a structure for my students, and it's the same one we had before. Sometimes it's synchronous, sometimes it's not synchronous. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. I did adjust assignments for the first 2 weeks where things were I dropped an assignment or two because it was just adjustment and changes, right? You have a schedule. That schedule isn't on time. There's no point in forcing a schedule. But and I've changed some assignments to sort of for students to think about where we are and what we're doing. We're having a coronavirus conference in one of my classes, so they can study the history of plagues, they can study the facts and the myths about COVID-19 and other coronaviruses, so they can study the social and economic impacts, etc. Coping skills. But I think it is a grave, grave injustice to students, and although I care less about institutions, but also to the institutions that we work for. I mean, I'm getting paid to teach. It's what I was hired to do. And I'm lucky. I have a job I can do online. I have multiple friends now who've lost their jobs. They're on hold. One friend whose entire business right now has stopped working. And I am kind of tired. I understand that teachers are overwhelmed. I get that. I'm not saying we shouldn't be complaining about that, or somebody's got it worse, so we shouldn't feel bad about what we're going through. No, we're going through it too. But we have a job to do, and we are still getting paid to do it, so we should be doing it. And so I'm teaching my students, and I have expectations, and I have assignments, and they're going to be doing them, because one thing I want to be able to guide and mentor my students in this time. One way I want to be able to guide them and mentor them is by teaching them how to manage difficult situations. That even when things are bad, that you get up in the morning and you go and you move and you get things done and you make your world and the world around you a better place. You can't just lay down. You get to sometimes. We all have times, we moments, and we collapse and we cry and we're sad. And I have been that way in these very videos. But my students need me, and they need me to be there for them not just as somebody who's teaching them about communication studies, but somebody who is there to guide them in this time. And so I am providing structure, and they paid me to do it. They paid me not just to provide structure, they paid me for the material that's in my class. They paid me to learn it, and I'm going to give that to them. And while some students are probably perfectly happy not having to do anything, and they can just be home all day, or not having to engage with school and get A's regardless, that's probably true. But 5 years from now, they're going to look back and they're going to be upset that they paid the money and got nothing out of their experience. And there's still something to salvage here. There's something to salvage, and I want to help salvage it. If my students can't meet the online demand because they don't have access, I will work with them. If my students are having a bad day, I have a student who can't get her lupus medication thanks to some misinformation that says lupus medication will help cure COVID-19. It does not. She doesn't have to come to class this week. She needs to figure out her medication. That takes priority. I get that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about having requirements of ourselves, like showing up. So when they show up to class, I don't want to see them in bed in their PJs. I want to meet their family members. I want to meet their pets, but I want to see them ready to work and handle some stuff. And maybe that's old school. I don't know. Maybe it's incorrect. Maybe I'm wrong. But I know this, that it won't work to just teach students that when these rough and terrible times come up, and this won't be the last virus, that we just sit back and let it all go to hell in our own lives and give up. That doesn't work either. And it also is, I think, wrong to be paid to do something and not do it. So that's my rant for today, which is a little bit less than a lesson, but it's kind of a lesson. Kind of a lesson. It's a lesson. Yeah. So be safe. Be good.